crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Welcome in to Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, and soon BitLab Academy. Joining us later on in the show. Happy birthday, Charlie Kirk. Celebrate the life of a man that lived bravely, communicated with the other side. We're rocking the shirt today. Huge shout out. Happy birthday, Charlie Kirk. And good afternoon, everyone. It's a huge Tuesday. Some pretty cataclysmic moves happening with the government and massive bags of Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at this and really unpack what's actually going on here. What is the relationship that's expected with the United States government and its Bitcoin holdings? And they just changed in a drastic way. We're going to take a look at that. Good afternoon, everyone. Cali Crypto Dude, Jay Mizzle, Mr. Vegas, Nicole. Hey, what is up? Good to see you, Nicole. Crypto Surge, Rowan. Oh my God. Yep. Said goodbye to the old factory. We're in the new spot. I'm liking the digs. I took Jeffrey's guitar because I'm blasting onto the music scene once again. I'm super excited. Actually going to be meeting with a new band tonight. So we got to talk about the Jerome Powell speech as well. Absolutely, Mike. Jerome Powell spoke earlier today. Really sounding quite dovish. So we're going to take a look at that. Let's get into it. Make sure you are following me at Druth Crypto. The landscape kind of red, right? You got a little bit of spots of green here with Tau being very, very aggressive on the comeback story. Tensor Tau being very good. Generally, markets are down. Bitcoin sitting at about $112,800 as things sit right now. Here are the charts. Going over them with Kelly in the morning, but I got one of my favorite chartists out there, male astrologist extraordinaire himself, Matty B. How are you doing? Thanks for joining me on the show, man. How have you been holding up during the big pullback?
Thanks for having me. You know what? A lot of people say, you know, we couldn't expect this big flush out, and no one could see it was going to go to 102, and this is crazy. And how can anyone see this? And I've been calling 102 for about 2 months straight. Yeah. So like when I was watching it on Friday, real time, like probably all of us we're just like, holy shit, this thing. So the first thing it did is it pulled down to like 116, and that was a level that we are keeping our eye on as well. And when it busted through 116, I was like, God damn it, it's going to 102. And so the strange thing is that like with the like, this is a 4-hour chart on Bitfinex, right? And so it says 103.1, right? So this is what I was watching on real time. And then when you go over to like the daily, it's not as bad. It's like, 108 or 107. And then even the weekly is a little better, 107.1. So it's like, obviously the oracles weren't really firing at the same kind of speed as they should. What did you think?
Absolutely. We actually had something about that we may as well bring up right now, because you're bringing up something I've been calling into question during the whole crash. It's like, I walked away from the Friday crash realizing we're a lot earlier to crypto than we think we are, for one, with the difference in price action. Where is this post action? Because it really makes you think, you know, we think that the whole world is going to just integrate into crypto and we're already to the graceland. But seeing that massive crash and the discrepancy of prices, it really does make me wonder about, truly how far along are we, right? And we got some stuff to talk about in terms of this Bitcoin movement from the government, Maddie. First of all, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent came out and wished Charlie Kirk a happy birthday. So he got one positive note from me so far. Ding, ding, ding. Charlie Kirk's belief in financial education and opportunity helped shape a generation. Charlie was a patriot, teacher, and visionary, understood the strength of our nation lies in an informed and empowered citizenry. So he gave these comments this morning, But here's the real crazy stuff going on with the government. U.S. seeked forfeiture of 127,000 Bitcoin. Now that's moved through. This was tied to the transnational pig butchering scam run by Chinese national Chen Zi. Zach XBD came and chimed in. What the most interesting part is the wallet address is listed as the U.S. government 14 billion. Seizure previously was named Milky Sad Report 2 years ago for having vulnerable private keys, and now the U.S. government says they have custody of them, increasing the holdings drastically in a very, very fast fashion of Bitcoin. And Matty B, we covered it. I think you were on the show with me, or I know we talked about this offline. Scott Bessent was not shy about talking about we're not going to be buying Bitcoin.
Right.
Confirm the U.S. will keep confiscating Bitcoin as part of its Bitcoin reserves, right? So it's a very interesting kind of backdrop of scenarios where obviously there's an intent from a budget neutral standpoint to add Bitcoin. Matty B, is the government actively buying Bitcoin, the narrative, the thought of it, just simply a psyop in your opinion? Do you think the government's actually intention is to buy Bitcoin, or would they rather just seize it what they can for the reasons behind?
I mean, obviously they'd rather seize it because that's what they do best. Everyone has to remember that the government doesn't have any money. You know, when it's like government funded, that's a misnomer. It's taxpayer funded.
You said it so kind of candidly, but it really is. You know, that's it. Well, go on, Matty B. The point needs to be driven home.
Yeah. So like, what do they have left but to seize? Now, I don't want to give them too many credits because they are about as big a retard as you can ever get collectively. Like, you can take all the 200 PhDs at the Fed and they can't even get one thing right. So obviously, I'm going to go down giving them a little bit of credit. If they were to be buying budget neutral Bitcoin, if they were, which I don't think they are, I'd like to think that they have a little more strategic awareness to not tell anyone anyway, right? Maybe put up a little bit of a bag and then let the cat out of it and say, we're thinking about buying. Meanwhile, they've already bought 114. But again, they don't have any money. They're not a business. They extort money.
Why wouldn't you say that you're going to buy it? Let all the other nations go accumulate and get in on it. And then, you know what? There's a couple specifics within the Treasury and the Fed and what we can actually hold. That's what I've been kind of banking on, is essentially a Bitcoin strategic reserve edge job that ends with a lessened pullback on Bitcoin. I think there will be a pullback to some degree. But yes, I completely agree with you. Seeing this roll out this morning just further compounded that fact. I believe they're sitting now at around 320,000 Bitcoin. So the confiscation pile is growing quickly, right? Confiscation pile.
They're not going to sell any other confiscated Bitcoin? Is that their new?
That's the angle Trump's been taking. The Treasury Secretary's been taking, is that, they're happy not selling the Bitcoin and confiscating it, and the fever dream of like the hyper bullish scenario that's rolled about. And it was a potential there for a minute in my mind until I realized that the much more likely thing is to say you're going to do it, let everyone do it ahead of you, watch it crash. Then their economy goes even further down the drain. You buy up the floor and then you can move on from there. Right. That's just what I would do if I was wanting to get, if I was the U.S. government and I controlled monetary policy to that degree, that's what I would do. Right. So it is a thing to think about. And the gold side, we got to talk a little bit about gold, Maddie. It's been going nuts. Jerome Powell talked slightly about it. He said he wouldn't directly comment about Bitcoin or gold. Right. But he said, we think inflation is driven by fundamental supply and demand factors. Now, the Federal Reserve Chair this morning, he sounded pretty dovish. Sounded like a little bit of mistakes were made. But he also did say some interesting things that made me think about potential applications for crypto. There are, products out here. there's a Truth, which is backed by Link. It tries to pull in true inflation data. And Powell's talking about there's really few good substitutes for government inflation data. The government shut down right now.
Truth?
What's that?
Ain't that the truth?
It is the truth, right?
They've never
I think
gotten
it's
it
kind
right.
of it's a good name for a project. But bringing true inflation data, the government shutdown right now, it looks like it's actually going to be quite an extended government shutdown. According to Polymarket, people think that this is going to last for longer than 30 days. One of the longer shutdowns that we've seen. Now, Bitcoin price action and market liquidity polls and all this conjecture, leave that to the side. Do you think that the government shutdown is starting to maybe become more obvious that it's going to last for a long time and that the markets are kind of on edge waiting for the government shutdown to kind of come to their end? Like, what do you think of the government shutdown's role in this Bitcoin pullback?
Well, I kind of hope that it does remain shut down because there's a couple takeaways from that. A, nothing's changed. You would think that we would be slowly falling into an apocalypse without the government control. Who's going to lead us? Who's going to make all these decisions?
100%,
they can literally
100%.
shut down forever.
Mhm.
As long as we have a small functioning government that upholds law, at the bare minimum, and enforces law to a certain degree. What do we need all those geriatric retards stealing all the money from the citizens? We don't need that. And the longer
what would we do without them, Matty B? Come on, man. What would we do without Nancy?
I was thinking that the reason why they're all involved in these, sick and twisted scandals, and they're usually, let's just say bedroom scandals, to put it lightly, is because they actually don't do anything. And then there's that old saying, the devil finds work for idle hands, right?
Yeah.
So you have all these politicians who have been in there for 30, 40 years that do nothing. And just to keep them busy, they just start rolling out all these bedroom scandals just in case something happens. They can just lean on that. Hey, while you were in bed, you were literally in bed with this person. So, you're going to do what we say. Meanwhile, they're still doing that. They're just not, coming to work. But here's the grossest part. When they do come back to work, they get a big old fat paycheck.
Oh, yeah. They get that back pay. Don't worry. The back pay comes. Now, Matty B, we fell down to $109,800 this morning. There's a lot of jitters. There's a lot of fears on what level Bitcoin falls to will really invalidate the bull market, right? I think that's a lot of conversation that I've seen in terms of price action, expectations, people. And honestly, I woke up and just looked at the charts. I was like, all the leverage basically was chopped off at the head, right? And now we're still holding at above $110,000. We're really not looking too bad right now at 113. Can you kind of run through where you think the bull market really gets invalidated? Is it the 200-day moving average you're using? What metric is generally, kind of your risk off signal?
Well, I've used this one for a long time because you can back test it through past bull market closings, right? So you take the all-time high, which in this case is 126, you pull down a fib to the crash. Now, the reason why this isn't 100% ideal for me is that it's not really a big crash, right? Any noob in here is probably the diapers need to be changed. But if you've been here long enough, that this is nothing, right? Don't even wake me up for this. So the whole world losing their mind. We know a 30% drawdown is where, you kind of got to get out of bed and drive to work, right? So this is what I would use for a 30% drawdown. Now, we didn't get it, so we're going to use this with this drawdown. Let's just to go over what the actual from peak to trough was 18%. I mean, it's 18%. That's nothing. Anyway, let's just pretend it's something and use this scenario. Every bull market ends with a massive dump, and then what some legacy analysts call a dead cat bounce, where we kind of have a rally, and the rally usually ends at the 38.2% fib, which is right here with these eyes. And that's on the 4-hour chart based on 102. Remember, the oracles are different here, so they're going to be slightly askewed. That if we get rejected, which I mean, listen, we got up to the 200 moving average, we got rejected, and we're kind of fighting our way back amongst these fibs. You can see we went down the 61.8% fib, which is the goldenest of golden ratios. We always like to do that for a reset. So I'm bullish on the reset here. However, I'd like to get over the 38.2% fib, which is 17.3 on the 4-hour chart. But if we use that same scale on the daily, and this is on Bitstamp, you can see that the 38.2% fib is here at 116, right? So it's slightly lower. I got the eyes here, which is also an old fib, 50% fib. And it's also, this is a messy daily chart. But you get the picture. This is a channel of eternal monotony that we've just been bouncing in for what seems like a year, right? So it'll all come to like a resistance head here with these eyes. And it's also the 38.2% fib that we want to blast through. We don't want to get rejected from there. So we go over to the weekly. You can see the same thing. It's a slightly different price from its oracle. This is Coinbase, but you see the 38.2% fib is a little higher, 118.8. So there's 3 different prices, but they all basically revolve around the 38.2% fib as the dead cat bounce, right? So if we see that and we get rejected and basically come back and retest the bottom, which we kind of have done it on this 4-hour chart, save for this scam wick here. Right. So, but if we go to the daily, we would have to, start closing candles down here. That would be we still have some room here. Not much, though. Like if we look about it, like a candle close, we're 1% away from this, huge,
my God,
huge milestone, which I don't know, 1% to me is kind of it. So we don't want to see, like, I'm not going to kick 1% out of bed, right? It's close enough. So we want to see us blast through this. It's very important because every other bull run, we do it. We fall back, dead cat bounce up to 38.2% fib, get rejected, and then we just end up cleaning out the theater for the next bull run.
Yeah. Well, in this market, we have seen just a gut-wrenching amount of leverage, right? Like open interest was hitting extreme levels right before the huge crash, and now I'm seeing this hyper unit whale shorting $485 million worth of Bitcoin.
Wow.
The $10 billion hyper unit whale that made 200 million shorting the market on Friday. Literally, it felt like just minutes before the big crash. This account has increased his shorts by $150 million. There is a lot of leverage to be washed out if the price were to, return back, and it's almost like the washout, the up being max pain. This really makes me feel like we've entered the mode where leverage is being accessed on hot wallets, MetaMask rolling access to perpetuals out, and now I see a lot more than I'm used to of people with their entire bags on a leverage position.
Right.
So it does concern me that everyone's kind of getting over levered to the teeth. And, there's even reports that, maybe the exchanges wouldn't have had the money to pay out to altcoin longs right before the flush out, thus causing a reason for a rinsing and a repeating of the markets. But on this whale, Matty B, do you think that this is a government insider, right? I mean, I've seen it, reported that it's Barron. I've also seen it reported that it was this other fellow that I actually want to pull up his name. But what's your take on who this might be shorting to the market to this degree?
Well, my take on all exchanges is that it is the exchange, right? So if you've been here long enough, you know that no matter what you do with the stop loss, they're going to scam wiki down and pop you out because the price. I got a nice little example of how to do this. Okay, so this is the Bitcoin train, right? You can't really see it, but on the front it says going to the moon, right? This is just where all the hodlers and the people with low time preference and investors are all aboard. Now this is Bitcoin price with leverage.
Oh my God.
It's not going to the moon with all that leverage on it. They got to shake it off like a wet dog, slow motion. They got to get rid of the leverage. And so anyone who complains about the price, if you're in leverage trades, you're one of these people on the Bitcoin train. You're holding the price back because this is what the exchanges do. They rinse you out. It's so easy for them. They know where your stop losses are. Don't be fooled. Don't think that this is a fair game where they're like, nope, we will not know where your stop losses are. We are an exchange and we take pride in our business. No, the business they take pride in is rinsing your leverage out. So if you have a stop loss, make 100%. Don't fool yourself. They know where it is. And how many times has your stop popped out? Every time?
Dude, I need to leave this full screen. Just one more. This is Bitcoin in spot up top, Bitcoin on leverage below. Absolutely crazy. And beautiful explanation right there. We did have a little bit of hope come through as well, Maddie. So Jim Cramer came out, said that he hopes money can be taken out of crypto and put into real economy stocks. Now, I'd like to address the up and to the right parabolic action of gold, right? And then we see rare earth minerals and companies that can, process them, that produce raw goods. Those are really doing quite well. Do you think that, crypto is going to be able to explode to the upside along in tandem with gold? Or is it going to be kind of this hot potato game between gold and Bitcoin? Like, are they ever going to find that point where people look at Bitcoin truly like gold? BlackRock's out there trying to explain it that way right now, but is it just this fever dream that we probably won't see over the next 5 years, you think?
It's almost like this. So like when you go back, depending on where you look, right? So if we go back 5 years, gold's only like 1x, 1.3 or 5x, right? We go back 5 years over Bitcoin, it's 7x, if not more. So depending on where you look, you can really like cherry pick an asset's growth. And I'm happy for gold because guess what? Gold bugs become Bitcoiners, right? Because eventually
it's the same mindset, right?
It is.
It really is. And that is something very important to think about. And that's why I really feel like at a point they're going to move in tandem.
Mm-hmm.
But how long it takes to get there, that's really the question of mine. You know what I mean? So long-term Bitcoin is easy for me. This alt season, the pullback from it, have you given any look at Bitcoin dominance? Because Bitcoin dominance on the weekly time frame, Matty B, it put up this massive move to the upside last week and then gave up basically the whole move. In my mind, Bitcoin dominance may be running out of steam. I feel like Ethereum's beaten down enough, but what is your opinion of Bitcoin dominance? Because, I know that you focus in on Bitcoin and it's really the driving factor for alt season, all of that action. Do you think Bitcoin dominance is ready to start giving up any of its power in the light of everything going on right now?
I think we're entering into the last leg of this historic cycle. So I'm not saying the cycle's broken or it's going to be different, but if we were just to, bracket this bull run, we are entering into its last leg. So I do anticipate Bitcoin dominance going up one more time for this session, right? So when we see what may look like a blow off top, if we even get that, I'm not even sure we will. I think this next maybe 4 weeks, because if we go back to this daily chart, I put it in, 548 days right here is where we topped out in November 21st or November 20th, 2021, November 10th, I think. That's 548 days. That's October 20th. So that would be after that, we are, you might say we're on borrowed time as far as these cycles go. So, I mean, the next little while, 4 weeks at least, or maybe it's only 5 days away, Drew, when you really think about it. After five days from now, we're on borrowed time and uncharted territories. So there's a lot of memes going around right now that no one knows
Mhm.
what's going to happen. And I think that's, it's been true this whole time. We
Mhm.
generally know, like I always call the bear market the good old days, because we know it's going to go up.
Oh, I
you
know. I know. And there's so much to just talk about when so the short time frame that we've historically seen Bitcoin dominance falling, but the price goes up, alts go up. It's a very, very short window where it happens.
Mhm.
And by 4-year cycle metrics, if you're a 4-year cycle perfectionist, the breakdown in Bitcoin dominance should have happened in December 23rd. It did not.
Mm.
It faked out. It fell down by like 11% or something, but found a lot of support at 54% and then kept skyrocketing to the upside. Right. So, as things sit right now, there is a statistical measure on how different this market is. We are basically 329 days past due on Bitcoin dominance pulling back.
Mm.
Right. So,
Yeah.
that is something that just the overall structure of what we're used to has indeed changed. It absolutely has changed. Acknowledging that fact, making my decisions on how many alts I really want to get exposed to plays into this decision and everything within it. Something very, very interesting to think about. It is provably different already. We've hit all-time highs before we had ever done in the 4-year cycle process.
You know what would be truly different? Like
What's that?
when they say this time is different, this time would be, and it would ruin all metrics, because we have never ended a bull run with fear and greed at 42 and being neutral.
Yeah.
Like that would be different.
Mhm.
Right? It'd be absolutely unheard of. Normally, you could basically be a world-class trader just selling 90, buying 10, right?
Mhm.
When there's fear and greed. But like, when was the last time there has never been a bull run that ended with a neutral fear and greed?
Yeah, it's almost like if it were to break down right now, it's going out with a whimper, right? Just
For sure.
a tiny little whimper in the wind there.
Makes you
Oh,
wonder, are we
hold
just
on. I gotta get something. Hold on, Matty B.
You are banned!
Right, there we go,
I
Roman.
like that one.
All right. You are out of here. All right. Now, so we're talking about Bitcoin a lot. I feel like there is something within alts that drives me to want to hold on to them. And the main one that I like is Chainlink. Did you see this news about Chainlink? S&P Global teams up with Chainlink to give institutions a transparent way to evaluate stablecoin risks, right? Also, there's a little bit of hint from Jerome Powell about the problem with the government being shut down. They're not actually getting jobs data that they usually would be getting. Beyond Bitcoin being able to store our energy and our buying power for the future, what is your take on if is there actually any chance? Like, have you seen how many things Chainlink's been tagged in this month in terms of like
Yeah.
they're speaking with the Federal Reserve on the 21st? This thing with the global S&P global teams hooking up with Chainlink, it's integrated all over the place. What is your take? Can a private blockchain company really bring transparency to government data? Flat out. Like, what is your take of this? Because I'm an investor because I believe there's a chance. But I want to get your opinion on this because it's a random question. I never talked to you about altcoins really. There's just this whole pile of real use case for Chainlink. The price doesn't show it at all. Do you think that these projects have any chance?
Well, I think in a real world, in a reality paradigm, it would make all the sense in the world. But you have to ask yourself, do these corrupt dinosaur government want transparency? I mean, it's the last thing they want.
Yeah.
Right? They
Right.
want to be able to,
That's a little bit of what my thought process is. And then, the reason why like I'm a utility-based investor, it was a thesis that Chainlink would get the Swift partnership over XRP, and they did. It's happened, but the alt price action hasn't followed through. You know what I mean?
Well, this
Hasn't really
goes
moved.
back to, I mean, we can tie in the government shutdown with this. So imagine all those the retards at the Fed that will have no job because you have Chainlink, basically the oracle of all data, right? So
Right.
now you don't have to have all these dinosaurs crunching numbers in the back of the Fed making 250K a year. They're all gone. But then, I mean, the nightmare begins because we all know the CPI is the government's basket of lies, and they just interchange things to make it fit their narrative.
And they're
Inflation is
controlled.
up.
They're
Right.
shutting down. You won't get the data. See, right? And if we open it up blockchain, then they don't really have that ace up their sleeve to rug
Right.
pull and get their billions of dollars that they want printed for themselves.
Yeah, and you got to ask yourself, are they going to give up that power?
Right. Right.
I
Right.
hope
It's a
so.
long fought battle. Long fought battle. Hasn't been one yet. I will say that absolutely. I mean, in the data's there. Look at this. This is funny. Arca is one of the long-term Chainlink bulls. Don't shoot the messenger. Third worst year on record. This is where conviction turns an opportunity. It's just one of those things, man. You hodl on. You get involved. But the whole game is to get more Bitcoin for me. So not too concerned. But Matty B, where can everyone find you? Where can they follow you? And we're, I believe, going to be going live together Friday. All right. So let
That's
the
right.
chat know where to keep up with your live streams, brother.
Every day I go live at 8:00 and we talk about the market, a little bit of TA when the price actually moves. And on Friday, Drew comes and we get a little dark and dirty with some things that YouTube doesn't like.
We do. We do. No lie there. Well, Piano Matty B, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I'm looking forward to being on with you again, man. And hope you have a good close to the week there, brother.
Thanks for having me. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Oh, man. Matty B is a gem, a national treasure, and he must be protected at all costs. Okay. First of all, now I got my other colleague here. Whoa, Kelly. How you doing, man? Heard you were just on a Mario space. We covered basic Bitcoin structure, price action, things of that nature. Talked about a little bit of government conspiracy theories about Bitcoin, if they're rugging us on the strategic reserve, but we have not talked about those insanely bullish charts that you came across this morning, the correlation. I'm actually quite excited to talk about them.
Well,
Kelly.
first off, we haven't covered this right here. This is something that we have not covered, guys. We have not covered this. And what is this? What is this? It is $110,000 Bitcoin a month ago and $110,000 Bitcoin now. I mean,
Is that actually Greta?
That is, I think so, or maybe it's an actor on I can't remember the name of the movie. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This is just the difference in sentiments of what we're feeling in the market right now. But guys, I mean, I'm so bullish of where this is going. The more I look at the data, I mean, the washout was an absolute black eye on the industry, but the bounce in price action on Bitcoin, the fact that we had assets, which is terrible, go from dollars down to 0.001 and then back up, screams of just manipulation and things going on in the market. But I'm feeling good, Drew. Everybody out there, are you guys feeling good? Because I'm looking for opportunities.
I mean, this Lord Farquaad, let me know who this looks like, man. Absolutely unhinged, and we've had a lot of our chat picking up some really, really cheap entry points on alts. Kelly, the time frame, like we're looking for entry points on alts, but your post about Bitcoin adoption really struck me. If we can, let's dive into this, because this is something that I think we really, really need to focus on, especially during the shakeup.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I posted this earlier, and this is essentially, if you understand this chart, you understand why everything right now is just noise. Now, the question I have for everybody tuned in right now, I want everybody in the chat, and if you're watching later, comment down below, where do you think we're at? Do you think we're at level 1? Do you think we're at level 2, level 3, level 4? And what I mean by this isn't price action. This is the number of people, the adopters, people actually utilizing, buying, holding, and any way engaging with Bitcoin and the crypto market. Where do you all think we're at on this site, on this S curve of adoption? I feel like we're about here. We're not at the super early stage. We're about here. And the reason why this is so important, if this is the case, is that this means we have an exponentially larger number of people still coming into the ecosystem. So when you think about Bitcoin, the supply being capped at 21 million, and we're only here, meaning we have an exponential amount of new adopters coming into the ecosystem. What does that do to the demand aspect in this market? And this is important because of this. You look at this chart right here and you realize this has been an institutional run. This isn't some huge adoption run we've seen this last year and a half. It's mostly institutions, corporations, and people buying maybe through the ETF, but mostly a lot of the same people in the ecosystem. So when we go back to this chart right here, this is why it's so important. Look at what we're seeing just from the institutional demand. Institutional demand right now, 545,000 Bitcoin. It's not dollars. But what we're seeing is only 97,000 Bitcoin have been created from mining. There's a massive overweight of demand that's come in just from institutions, and yet we still have a huge amount of the way to go. Now, if you think we're at 4, maybe you think it's going to slow down a tremendous amount, we're not going to get adoption, then it makes the price level we're at right now a little bit more scary. But I feel like we're a lot earlier. Let's look at let's pull up both of our faces.
Yeah.
There you go. We got so we got a lot of 2s, we got some 1s, 1.5s, 3.5, 3, 6. I don't know what 6. 6 means you think it's over, and we're on the downtrend here of adoption. But yeah,
hold on. Sack Nasty.
You are banned!
69, get out of here. Unbelievable. He's like government data. It's false. Got a lot of 3s, 2s.
Yeah, but you see here, some people misunderstand. Dizzy Gang says Bitcoin's bull run is almost over. That doesn't even begin to answer what this chart is asking. This is looking between now, let's say between now and 2060, right? Where do you think we're at? Do you think that the adoption is actually going to slow down in the near future and we're not going to get a lot of new demand that comes in? I mean, I don't foresee that the cycle being like at the stage where it's about to be over. I think we're going to be really frustrating the market and the people, especially retail, even some of us here going into 2026, because they can't tell if the cycle's over or not, the sideways consolidation, the chop, and all this. But yeah. I don't know. What do you feel, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a technological arms race that only happens once in a millennia, literally right now. So seeing the technology that Bitcoin has been able to capture energy and production costs spent and transfer that value digitally, right? And I'm seeing economies set up in a digital fashion. I'm seeing basically an up-only pattern for technological expansion and government control used within that technological expansion, I feel is nearly a guarantee. So the scenario, the stage is set for Bitcoin. We are going into very uncharted waters right now, but this essentially is a global arms race. That's what I feel like, Kelly. And it's seeing an asset that can basically withhold the test of time, stress from macro markets, and obviously going through this Trump trade tariff war has been a really kind of a good stress test for Bitcoin, in my opinion. I'm feeling good about it. The sentiment, I think, is so bad on Twitter, Kelly, because of where Ethereum has been and what Ethereum has been doing. It barely broke out of an all-time high. It's driving people crazy.
You know what? Let's stop talking. Let's look at some charts, man. We got some good stuff to see here, man. Let's do it side by side. Get your pretty mug up in here too. I like it. All right, let's do it. We got to keep the mullet in the stream. We got to pull the fib on the mullet. But guys, look at this. Eat the Bitcoin. Okay, we're not going to look at the dollar chart here. The Eat the Bitcoin chart. Let's just take a gander at this beauty. Oh my God, it's drawing down. But what is it doing? It's drawing down, meaning pulling back from value against Bitcoin, but it's forming this is a bullish pattern. It's a descending, broadening wedge. These tend to have follow through back to the upside. We're getting a bearish take, bulls bring it back. Bears bring it a lot further down, bulls bring it back up more. Bears bring it really far down. Bulls bring it. So you're getting this widening effect angled to the downside. These tend to move back to the upside. Now, what we'll focus on here, I'm going to put a line here. I want you guys to notice something here. This is what we're going to look at. Screw the price. The price tells you nothing. Let's look at the data. What do we notice? If this was price action, pretend this RSI is price action. I'm looking at the shape here of the RSI trending lower, right? It's trending lower. But what we're really seeing here is a sort of bending here where it's kind of forming a bit of a bottom, kind of like a rounding bottom. The weakness, the move from strength to weakness is starting to lose momentum. We're getting a higher low here, and even these rejections are starting to round out as well, and it's starting to sort of converge around this middle line, this 50 mark on the chart, which I talk about all the time. This is where weakness is in control. This is where strength is in control. It cannot get up there into that zone, but it's right now fighting to get back into that territory with strength being in control, all while the price action is also showing a bullish pattern. So I'm bullish here, but there's a better chart here that I did post this morning. Where is that at?
That's
right
a good
here.
one. This is exciting. This is exciting for me.
I mean, the price action, just looking at this is a 3-day chart too, a bit midterm macro. So this is excellent. Look at the very tried and true method here for an accumulation before blast off. What do we got? We have a rise, fall, rise, fall. So rise, fall, cool. Now we have a rise. Cool. Got that. Phase B. And then the fall into the spring, meaning the fall has a new lower low, which we've got spring right there. And then rise up into a little bit of a correction, rise up into a little bit of a correction, and then a sort of fake out blast off, meaning it broke, yes, beyond these range highs. You see, beyond these range highs. And then the chop zone that really traps people before you ultimately get that move up. If, and I'm not saying this is going to, but if this plays out, this is suggesting that the liquidity coming into not all alts, but the liquidity coming into the alt market will really start after this move is realized, meaning we break above and hold with authority momentum beyond 4,800, probably beyond 5,000, 5,200. I expect a little bit of chop in that range because of this move here. When price actually gets to $5,000, $5,100, I think there's going to be people ultimately like de-risking, like, okay, I rode that roller coaster once. Okay, I'm getting out. It's above 5,000.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. And just as Matty B showed at the beginning of the show, there's a train. I can't even describe what we showed on the show without getting deboosted. Just hit the like and share the damn show so we don't get deboosted. Dude's still waiting for alt season, and we've had
here's the deal. We're just looking at the data. I don't need it to happen or not. I'm saying the chart, regardless of what your narratives that you construct in your head that you agree with or disagree with, or the 4-year cycle or MicroStrategy or corporate treasuries, or the alts aren't going to happen. Take all the noise out. I'm just looking at the chart itself. Looks like a Wyckoff accumulation. That's all.
It really does. It really does. Well, Kelly, I know you got a lot of altcoins to get into. I think that we're feeling pretty good, but I'm interested. You take away the charts and really dig into the altcoins because there's a lot of blue balls. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty in those altcoin charts. And I think it could use some voice of reason from you, Kelly. So I'll let you take it away from here, brother.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Everybody throw a little round of applause for Drew. I love doing these shows with Drew as well because Drew and I both also want to get back to being focused on, doing the shows here on Discover Crypto, but reviving the streams that we're doing on BitLab Academy and also Blockchain Basement. So all of you that are tuned in through those channels, shout out to you and shout out to everybody wherever you're at. I'm actually curious. Everybody that's tuned in right now, I want you to know whether you're on YouTube or X, we can see your live chats. You can get in even on X. You can open up the live chat window. Let me know. Are you just type in YT or X? Just curious where you're tuned in from. And also put the city and state or the city and country. I want to see actually geographically where everybody's at. But let's look at some altcoin charts, everybody. Let's look at these charts. What are we going to look at? Well, first off, we're seeing some nice bullishness that just kind of really is kind of opening the door to this positivity in the market. Look at Tau is just absolutely melting to the upside, or is it? Well, first off, we've got this beautiful falling wedge triangle. We had a massive deviation below. Okay, so let's delete that. Let's say it's not a falling wedge. Cool. We still have this enormous trend line of resistance overhead here that this massive washout. I mean, look at this, down to $134. Man, did any of you guys buy this washout wick, any portion of it on Tau, and this kind of melted to the downside? Well, what we're seeing now, this is a 3-day chart. Let's get down to some more localized time frames. Let's ignore the wick, right? This was the whole market did that. But now we're getting a nice price action here, which has not been small. That's a 68% pump, 68% pump on Tau since this bottom was put in here. We got a W formation, double bottom. But what does the data say? Well, let's kind of come back and go over to the data. The money flow never went negative through this. Amazing. Money flow never went negative. Very bullish sign there. Okay. I mean, let's look at Avalanche. Went negative. Let's look at Tau. Never went negative. Let's look at BNB. Barely a blip on the radar, but stayed very positive. Now, ask yourself, this is on the 8 hour touch right at that zero line. The point here is the money was agreeing with these. So when you ask, why did BNB perform so much better? Why did Avalanche, perform worse? But then you see Tau perform so much better. The money was also telling that story. So if you stop getting so sidelined and myopically focused on just the price, and you look at the data that is therein, whatever asset you're looking at, any altcoin, any stock, anything, you have other data you can look at that can start giving you some hints out there. So you come over here and look at Solana. Solana, all this has done so far is it broke beyond this, 5-year trend line back to 2021. And all it's done currently, rejection here, it just came back down and has tested it. So as it stands right now, Solana is looking fairly bullish, but it's an ish because we also have lower highs here. We also have a bit of a, I won't call it a double top, but this ugly top that we have right here, potential top forming right here. So as it stands right now, I'd really like to see Solana hold above $175. Why? Because we have this formation here that kind of looks like an ugly head and shoulders. And if not, let's take out the pattern and just say the momentum is rounded over. Now you have a lower low followed by a lower high. These regularly can mean you're going to get lower low, lower high, have a continuation of that trend until you get ultimately the washout to conclude. You can also look at it like an Elliott wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 5-way the Elliott wave. There's a lot of different ways you can look at this, but what I will caution everybody of in this market right now is October 14th, the second half of October, in this perceived potential Uptober that could be here. These tend to happen at this stage in the cycle, the second half of October. So while this does look like a rounding top that suggests, oh my God, this may come down and break a bit lower, I would just be cautious here because of the washout we just had, the setup for a significant bear trap on anything that does move to the downside, especially with probably a bit more short heavy liquidity that comes in. So my point here is just a bit cautious. If this does break down, great. I would wait for a rejection here and a break of that zone for a confirmation that this is likely going to be moving lower. Also watching what's going on in the RSI, watching what's going on in the money flow. But I'm curious with you all, everybody tuned in right now. Do you all think, throw one in chat, do you think, let's say for the rest of this year, do you think the narrative with alts is dead? Throw a 1 if you think the narrative with alts is dead at least the rest of this year. Throw a 2 in chat if you think alts are going to rally at some point this year before the end of the year. Curious what the sort of appetite is in the market and what you guys think. And so we got 1s, alts are dead this year. Cool. We got 2s, won't recover from this, folks. I hear it. Okay, so get a lot of activations there. I watch Tony TV, says we are cooked. Pump Fund killed alt season, says DNB Smurf. Is that drum and bass Smurf? What's up? Alts are being racked and stacked. But I will point to the fact that usually when most people give up on something is when it absolutely rips. And again, I don't know if they're going to rip. I don't know if that's going to happen. I will point back to this chart here, though. I'll pull this back up right here. Is interestingly, we've been here before, guys, and I've shared this chart before. We've been here before where the alt season's going to happen. It doesn't. The alt season's going to happen. It doesn't, and you have a massive washout. And then what do you see over here? Alt season's going to happen. It doesn't. Alt season's going to happen. It doesn't. Oh my God, we're not going to get the washout. Boom, you get the washout. And remember, I've had this shared for 2 or 3 weeks before this is filled. And here we go, filling it. And this, honestly, it's more of an accident than anything. I was just looking at the chart formation that happened here, and I happened to have a red box drawn here, and I was starting to think, and I even talked about it on stream. It's not going to happen. Now, again, this is the others chart. So we're looking at every altcoin out there, everything that's outside the top 10 market cap, okay? And it just so happens that this filled almost perfectly. And again, I don't know if we're going to get the green, the yellow, the red. That's why I'm majority stacked in very safe assets, aka Bitcoin. And then I have a good portion of my portfolio. I have a portion of my portfolio and altcoins. So if the alts do nothing, I'm fine. But I am still betting, and I want the alts to do something. I still think we're going to get something kind of between the green and the red here. I don't think we're going to get this because there's so much capital focus. Remember, institutional cycle that we're going through right now. I think we're going to get something not like this, but at a much less of a steep angle, something kind of like this that doesn't even reach that same height, meaning we still will get a bit of a run, and it's going to be selective with some alts. That's why I think we need to make sure that when we come over here, we look at, coinmarketcap.com, that you realize that if you go to page 11, I don't think it's going to be an everything alt season this time. I think we're going to get, some periods where there's going to be some good price action, but I think you got to go through here and figure out, is Bitcoin Cash going to be the one that runs? I don't know. Somehow it's still associated with some of this, I don't want to say tried and true, but large institutional integrations, right? But Stellar, I think Stellar has a pretty good shot. XLM, cross-border payments, a lot of what they're doing, a lot of partnerships, a lot of great stuff in their ecosystem. Hyperliquid, it seems like they got shaken out of the narrative, right? But yet it's still, it's down less than Cardano. It's down less than, Dogecoin. It's down less, It's down less than XRP. So I think right now, looking at the landscape moving forward, you got to really ask yourself, what are you holding? I want every one of you to look at your portfolio. Ask yourself, okay, I'm holding these 5 coins, 10 coins. If you're holding 30 coins, what are you doing? Holy moly. I did that. I did that my first cycle. I had so much, and I was jumping between stuff, and I made a lot of money, and I lost a lot of money. And so I think it's time to focus. Right now, it's time to focus. Take your high-risk DGEM play, sure, small percentage. Find out the different utility aspects, the different RWA aspects, different AI. What narratives are you interested in? Really focus on what you have right now. Why do you have it? What narrative is it potentially, what niche is it potentially going to ride within? What sort of partnerships do those coins have? Real partnerships. I'm not talking speculated it might happen. On paper, it's happening. Maybe they haven't deployed fully within that partnership yet, but real integrations, deployments. What does it look like for the, transactions and transaction volume? Ask yourself these things. That guy, Richard, all altcoins are junk. Very well could be true. I think there's a speculative opportunity with many altcoins. And I think in reality, when we come back and look at this in, 5 years, I would say in 5 years, over 50% of these coins won't exist, or they won't even be relevant. They'll have less. They'll be no transaction volume, it's only going to be decreasing in users and transactions, or they're completely dead. I'd argue to say that it's probably be closer to like 75%, especially if you get into like 8-10 years out. So you have to ask yourself, if that's the case, then you also agree with that, right? There's going to be some ones that absolutely push through, BNB, I think will be there. Honestly, XRP, I don't know. They gotta start announcing some pretty major real integrations, not speculated, real integrations, real deployment, real use cases with banks. It's got to grow as well. Solana, I think, will be around because of the corporate sort of integrations, adoptions, deployments, and also the revenue that they're able to generate within their Solana ecosystem. Dogecoin, I just did a space that I got off of an hour ago where they actually have a publicly traded company that is basically working to integrate and push deployment of crypto payments and Dogecoin and a bunch of stuff like that. And think about how big their ecosystem is. Am I a huge fan of Doge? I used to think it was stupid, but if you really think about it, they have $30 billion market cap. Do I think that's overinflated? Who's to say? I don't know. They got up to 80 billion last cycle. And the strength of the community in a lot of these tokens is kind of underlying what a lot of their value is. You have to realize that Bitcoin has real intrinsic value. Does Chainlink have intrinsic value? I think so, which is why I have an investment in it. Does Doge? I mean, could you comment on the community being the intrinsic value? Maybe. I mean, they've got a ferociously strong community. But my point is, if you're not understanding the altcoins that you have in your portfolio, what value? Why are you attributing value to it and thinking it's going to pump? And I'm not saying they will or won't. I'm saying if you're not asking these things about the assets in your portfolio, you're doomed to fail because you're looking at something because you want it to work, you want it to pump, you want it to have this huge value, but you don't really understand it. And if that's the case, then you're not going to be able to navigate the market as the narrative swings. That's what I'm asking you all to do. BitLab Academy. We got to treat this like students. We have to be students of the assets we hold. If you don't understand your assets aren't going to understand profits unless you get lucky. You have to realize that. Athena, I mean, tied in with World Liberty Finance. Sui, I mean, they've got a ferociously strong community in such a short amount of time, and they're working on some pretty strong partnerships and integrations as well. HBAR, they've got some really good sponsorships that they're doing. They do have a pretty good amount of integrations and partnerships that they've worked on. And but again, I'm not holding HBAR right now, so I've kind of let my research and current event awareness of HBAR kind of lapse because I'm not holding it. Litecoin, I mean, it's legacy at this point. Will this still be around? I don't know. It feels like it will. But just ask yourself these questions, because when we look at this, we're at, $3.77 trillion market cap. Okay, 3.84. I guess I hadn't refreshed this. Yeah, $3.84 trillion. Remember where we've been. Guys, not so long ago, April of this year, we're at 2.49 trillion. So it feels like the end of the world for some people when we're getting a little bit of a correction. But I will say, and I do recognize this, a lot of people have PTSD, whether they were there or not, and they're just looking at the charts. From what we saw back here in 2021, massive run up, sell off about 50%. Look at that, 54%. And then a jump from there that we had a secondary all-time high that was 140% pump from there. But the problem with this is if you're holding through this, and a lot of people got wrecked on this because they're like, there's no way this is going to double top like this because everybody's expecting this blow off top, and it didn't happen. So they get left holding the bag. So when we're looking at Bitcoin as it stands right now, and we realize, okay, Bitcoin has a sell-off, but we also just have sideways ranging price action. We also have RSI on the 3-day hovering right here. It's not at the 50 line, but regionally at that 50% line, trying to maintain bullish posture in terms of strength, having some modicum of control. Now, I will say with the wicks that have come back up and with the smaller bearish candle here, meaning you see large candle, larger candle, smaller candle. The momentum is starting to shift there. If this can maintain above this $109,000, $110,000 region, then I also expect on that 3-day chart that the RSI will maintain and actually regain strength. Currently, we have money flow still positive, but when we get down to the 1-hour chart, it starts feeling like it's doomed, right? 1-hour chart, oh my God, it fell out. Boom, it's looking weak. I think right now is ultimately time for patience. Find opportunities you're willing to stack in if you have your exit strategy or you have your patient strategy in place. Because when we come over here and we look at Link, yes, I'm very bullish on Link, but when you look at it on the daily chart, oh my God, you're telling me it's just in a giant symmetrical triangle? It hadn't even broken out yet? Look at that. That's all it is. So this could even fall back down as low back into the $13 range. And it would still be ultimately in the same pattern that it is. I would be an absolute buyer here if that happened. When we look at Aerodrome, it fell out of a rising channel that we knew was there. It would likely fall out of. No broken spirits there. And let's put where that bounced. Let's just put a horizontal line. Okay, we had a little interaction there, rejection there, support there, rejection there, or rejection there. So it's kind of a known level, nothing out of the ordinary. So let's get down to the 4-hour chart. Is it looking strong or weak? Well, let's look to the data. RSI, look at where it rejected, right at that 50 range area, right? Is the strength going to be in control or is the weakness going to remain in control? Well, there's two things here. You got a little bounce here. Great. RSI is getting rejected at the 50 line, but the money flow has popped back above neutral here. So positive money flow. The market is going to try and shake you out of these assets, especially with all these ETFs on the horizon, especially with Wall Street opening their mind share to figuring out how to deploy, integrate, and capitalize on this complete restructuring of the global financial system. Watch for bearish patterns that will trap people short before a moon shot comes, whether it's into the rest of this year or sometime in 2026. I'm positioning myself as such that I do believe that's going to happen. Morpho, incredible. Look at this. The washout we had on Morpho, 62% wick, only to have a bounce of 218%. Guys, and not only that, it went all the way up to here, 300%. Now, were we able to get that? No, but what is this? This is where people screw themselves. I wasn't able to get that, so I missed it. Well, what you're missing here is the data point that this provides. Overwhelming washout. I missed it, but what I see here, because you look at, for instance, AV&T. Okay, we had a pretty big washout here. It has not recaptured that washout. Look at Morpho. Boom, immediately recaptured the washout and went above it. This washout from here, it's up here. So there's strength here that is not present in some of the other alts. Let's look at Tau. We talked about Tau earlier. Tau is doing that. Tau lost it and came back up, showing amazing amount of relative strength compared to other assets in the ecosystem. BNB, same thing. So these things kind of it's not saying that, like, for instance, Sol's not going to still do well. It's just saying that the capital focus is in some of these other chains, which means that, one, there's still capital in this market. Two, there's still bullishness that is present. It's just not picked in the niche or the asset that you're holding right now. Amon Shields says Aster coded. Let's see. Let's look at Aster. I haven't looked at Aster in a couple of days. Where is Aster? I have it here. I know I got it. Aster. I can spell. There it is. Boom. Too many coins. So fall has not gotten back. Now let's see. Yeah. So this would be the fall. Boom right here. So we talked about this down here. We talked about this rejecting here because of these previous range lows. And we talked about having a drawdown. And I talked about on that drawdown, what did I say? I said, watch for a higher low. When things bounce out of a major fall, oh my God, the price is falling. Let it fall. Let it do what it's going to do. See where it bounces. And on the bounce, people go, it's bouncing. I'm missing it. I got to get in. Don't do that. You let it bounce and wait for the first retrace. See where the strength comes in. Do the bulls defending area where you get a higher low on that bounce here. Can this actually make a way beyond this previous range high right there? So let's look at what's going on with Aster. So we fell, we got a bounce. Look for the first rejection, the first retrace. Cool, got it. Cool. We currently have a higher low, but it's not confirmed yet until this is able to take out this zone right here. It's not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just trying to teach you patience. Let the market give you confirmations, because we got charts all over the place that are still building incredibly. Ondo, oh my God, it fell. Same thing with Aster. Looks just like Aster. Bounced up, came back down, have a higher low. So now it's trying to get that position to get that either next move up or a continuation to explore somewhere within this wick for another buying opportunity out there if you're bullish. So I think right now, everybody, we just got to be thankful we're in this market. So many people got shaken out. There's broken spirits throughout with, oh my God, guys, it's just hurt feelings throughout the market. And then you come back and remember, buy the fear right here. The score is 22. The price was $53,000. In fact, the price actually dropped to 48,000, right? So 22. The next time we had that extreme fear, look, that's up almost 50%, 75,000. Score is 24. And then, oh my God, look, it pumped on the extreme fear, 75 up to 110,000. These are the lows, mind you. Remember, this was 74. This was 48, right? This was 109. So this did 100% move actually out of there down to 76. And then it went from 76 to $124,600. And now we're getting an opportunity in that 100K range. Guys, we're here together. We're going to do it. So as we wrap out this screen, right now, I want every single one of you right now, throw it. Let's get the bulls. Let's get the bulls alive. Just type bull, spam the chat with bull. Let's make sure these bulls are awake. And if you absolutely can't abide because you're an overwhelming bear, type bear. And we're talking about by the end of October. Are we going to end October green or red? Is it going to end up being in October, or is it going to be red and dread? I want to see bull or bear. I want to see the spam. I want to see it right now, just flying. But with that being said, guys, I love you. I appreciate you guys. Let's remember, we got so much growth happening in this market. Morgan Stanley, Citibank, Bank of America, Fidelity, BlackRock. Yes, our institutions co-opting Bitcoin and crypto. You damn right they are. Everybody that's looking at the data of what's going on in this market wants to be involved. So the question is, are you going to be in before the majority of the market participants are? Are you going to be a part of this early few because we're still so early? Because then you get to arbitrage the massive impact that's going to have on prices and the speculative side of this market. So that's what I'm, making sure that every one of you can be educated. So we're making smart, data-driven decisions, not emotional ones, because there's so much room to grow in this ecosystem. And I want you all to absolutely, overwhelmingly succeed. So make sure you're following Discover Crypto right here at Discover Crypto _. Make sure you're following myself as well right here at Kelly Kellum, 2 L's both times, no dots, no ones. That's the only way to spell it. But everybody, I really do love you. I appreciate you. Shout out to our channel partners, Bitcoin IRA. Make sure you check in with them. Day trade your alts, rotate those profits into Bitcoin. Do it in a tax-deferred, tax-sheltered way. Excuse me, in your IRA. And then, of course, make sure you're protecting yourself with a cold storage solution. Our channel partner, Arculus, best one out there. And with that, I'm going to leave you with a little ad run for Arculus. I do appreciate you. Hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. And with that, I bid you.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.